am, I have been looking forward to this for weeks. I have Tony Ruesing on the line here from a coaching company called Aim Your Sights, introduced to me via Dan Knuckles, who gosh, Dan, we met years ago, 3 years ago, I feel like. Dan has an
I think you're right.
unbelievable background and story. So Dan, we need to air that story out, and so more people know about everything that you've had to overcome in your life as well. Really a professional, such a kind-hearted man, very intellectual, just somebody you got to know. And so when Dan introduced me to Tony, I was like, well, I'm obviously going to like this guy. So and honestly, I will never forget our first conversation, Tony, because the whole time I was leaning in, like glued into you. My heart was wide open. I was blown away by your magnificence. And I think I even told you that multiple times. I was gushing on our first interaction. So, Tony, thank you for coming in and having this like 30-minute conversation with me. Can't wait to dig in and tell people more about your expertise because it's going to help a lot of people on the line here today.
Well, I'm delighted to have this opportunity, and it was a real treat to be invited. So thank you.
I want to share my screen here for a second. I have my team in the chat comments below on various social networks right now. So we'll be able to share the link to your website, aimyoursights.com. And you're working with individuals and companies, and you're helping them in a variety of different ways. So you can read about this on the website. People have amazing feedback to share about their experience of working with Tony and his team of coaches. But Tony, I want to hear it straight from you. So tell me a little bit more about your background and the work that you are doing in the world right now.
Well, thank you. I was in a field and excited about what I was doing, got bored with it, and decided I wanted to do something different. Went to a workshop, and the workshop led me to a convention, and the convention led me to people doing something. I thought, I think I can do that. And so I bird dogged several companies for 5+ years, almost 5+ years. And somebody finally said, okay, we'll give you a shot at this. And I was hired for $25 a day plus expenses. And I went all over the United States for them as a pitchman. And I was known as Leather Lungs. And the reason I was known as Leather Lungs was because I was supposed to draw a crowd and help people look at the product that I was offering at the time. And then they would buy the product and use it themselves. So I was the only one with a voice after the third day, and that's why they called me Leather Lungs. So I was able to draw on that, and that's how I got in the field that I'm in right now. And that's helping companies and individuals grow.
So talk to me about the type of coaching that you're doing right now. So take me, for example. So, I'm a small business owner. And what are some of the things that we would be talking about if I were to hire you for coaching?
Small business owners have a passion inside themselves, and that passion shows in everything they say and do. And they get ahead of themselves. And I can only tell you this because we get ahead of ourselves. And when we do, we don't cross all the I's and dot all the T's. And I'll give you an example. I had 3 employees in the first business that I owned, and I was paying them. I had a payroll, so I was going at the payroll. And so rather than taking the money that I was taking for taxes and setting it aside, I just thought I had that in the bank. So then when that little piece of paper came and said, you got to put this in, I scared myself. That's the kind of thing we do, is we get ahead of ourselves. So what I hope to do with anyone that is eager, has a fire in the belly for what they do, I want to help them understand that a plan has to be in place, a plan of some kind. And then you work from the plan, step by step, step by step. And guess what? The plan changes over time. but it is planning that helps a lot. And I think you've probably done some planning since that first effort that you put in.
Yeah, it's interesting. It definitely changes constantly. And I know from having an entrepreneur mind, we thrive in the creative. We love the idea phase. And then you get into the execution phase, you get into the fulfillment, and you kind of start hitting a wall. And it's like, I'm bored or I'm not interested in this anymore. So I have observed that when I am maybe 50% into building out a product or a service, that is exactly the time that I need to delegate it to somebody else, because by the time I hit 80%, I'll just give up, like, because I'm already excited about the next thing. So I've observed that I need to bring people in sooner than felt natural or comfortable to me. Because with my mind, especially Tony, I like to figure things out before I delegate it, which is another mindset issue that I've had to figure out how to overcome. Bringing people in sooner to kind of co-create the solution doesn't have to be my exact way. But if I get help sooner, then we're actually fulfilling better in the long run. And then I can kind of keep moving forward with the next idea.
That's a great point that you make, because honestly, I was a lone wolf for a long time. I'm sitting in a coffee shop with a friend of mine, and we were going to do something together. And we'd been talking about it for 6 months, almost a year. While he took a sip of his coffee, he said, "Tony, we're not going to do anything." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, we're not going to do anything." I said, "Why aren't we going to do anything?" He said, "You're a lone wolf." Oh. I said, "Tell me about that." So the next thing I did was listen to him. And the next day, I went out and started networking. It made a big difference. And to your point, what happens when we get that second pair of eyes and that second opportunity to hear ourselves out loud, when someone else gives us feedback, the value of that is priceless.
We are better together. That's what I always say. So I'm a business owner, you're coaching me, and we have our vision, we're planning, need to have a level of accountability to that plan. By the way, for those of you watching right now, I am a huge promoter that everybody needs a coach. I have multiple mentors right now in my life, and they keep me on track. So sometimes we look at people that are successful or have what we want, and we just think, wow, they have something I don't have. And it's not necessarily true. We all need help, and identifying that and going out and getting the right help is important to have that kind of success, right? The lone wolf thing doesn't work as much. In your expertise, Tony, what are some of the other mindset struggles that you've noticed individuals or corporate leaders or small business owners? What are some of the mindset junk that you come in and you help bring clarity to that and help them kind of work around it?
The entrepreneurial mindset has 25 ideas in it all the time. 25 ideas. And so if we can distillate that to 5 and say, if we can do these 5 things and we can do 2, 3 of them well, and the other 2 we can do over time, what allows us to help stay focused is our ability to do one thing and one thing at a time. And that's not the entrepreneurial mindset, but it is required in certain circumstances. So when you get that second pair of eyes, that third pair of eyes onto something, and they help you with this, and they help you stay on that path, then you're moving in the right direction. It's not an easy gig. And the people around us struggle with that as well, because their brain doesn't work like that. And thank God it doesn't, because we need those folks that are logical and go step by step and are orderly and structured, because it helps us and it draws more of our creativity out of us, in fact.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I want to share a 1-minute video clip that Dan actually helped to produce this with you. Dan is so amazing at video. I go to him for video stuff. He's great. And so I want to share this because it's on how to manage any situation with confidence, right? I just know that everybody watching needs to pay attention to this. So let me just play this here for us really quick, and then we'll kind of deconstruct it on the other end.
You have the power to manage every situation. By concentrating your energy on the here and now, rather than trying to control the uncontrollable, you will benefit, and so will those around you.
That's a good idea.
You can make incremental adjustments to how you approach decision-making and transform the results.
That's cool, baby.
All of us have had times when we wish we'd said or done something differently, but it's impossible to go through life in a non-stop state of perfection.
I'm great. I'm incredible.
Understand that no one is in complete control, or you can keep spinning your wheels by reaching for control and falling flat on your face. Be open to the input of others and avoid controlling every situation. Now that is powerful.
I just love that video. You guys sent a couple of videos over in the beginning of us meeting, and I think I've watched that one multiple times. First of all, very well done, Dan. So, again, really big shout out to you for that. But Tony, I had a couple of questions that I thought of around that video. And one is, you mentioned we need to make some adjustments around our decision making. Can you expand on that? Tell me a little bit more about the adjustments around decision making.
Entrepreneurs have a hard time saying no. And that's an important
No. I have the hardest time around it. Okay, real-time coaching, you're in the hot seat. What do I do?
and they have a hard time saying no. So when we find ourselves in a situation where we know we need to tweak or adjust something, we need to sit back for a moment and ask ourselves, if I say yes, where does this path go? If I say no, where does this path go? And no is only a decision, and it's only a decision because you need more information to say yes. And that's really what we want to focus on. Our ability to ask enough questions and get enough of a yes in our thought process to help us with the times when we have to say no and we have to say, not at this time. We need more information. The other thing that if I may, just to piggyback on this idea, in this little clip that we just watched, we talked about control a little bit, and we said that we try to control things. Well, we can't. We can only manage things. And when we get clear on that, it helps us. And it helps us because then we manage a moment, a single moment, and then we manage two moments together. And then exponentially that changes to 4, 16, 32, 64, all the way. All of a sudden you're spending 45 minutes in a real moment by moment experience that helps you become more effective. That makes a big difference. Very big difference.
Wow. Okay. I'm loving this. And I'm thinking about what you said about how you just might need to take a little bit more time to get more information. You need to ask better questions. When you're working with your clients, Tony, are you helping them ask better questions? Are you challenging their thinking so that they can go out and get that information to arrive at a yes or a no?
I'm helping them find some of that in themselves, which means they're asking questions, but are the quality of the questions good enough to get the answers that you need? And so if we ask a better question, we get a better answer. And I've been challenged on that from time to time. People will say, well, just because you ask a good question doesn't mean you're going to get a good answer. That's true. But it doesn't mean that the answer wasn't qualified. It means that the answer may have been improved if the question had higher quality. And if we ask a better question, you will get a better answer. And the other piece of that that's important is entrepreneurs need to do more listening. And the ability to listen effectively helps us really clarify what's being said to us, because we go back and forth, and instead of just running into what we'd like to say, it's best if we say, let me ask you if I got this right. Let me repeat what you said, and let me see if I heard what you said, because we miss that a lot.
Well, I was just going to add that I feel like a lot of people are thinking 3 steps ahead in a conversation. And if what I have really tried to do in my own life is just slow that down and be fully present in this moment. Forget about my 2 o'clock call. Forget about my phone buzzing. Like, nothing else matters in this moment, except I'm like leaning in. I'm listening very intently to you. I'm still contemplating the next questions that I have, because you're a freaking wealth of wisdom. My goodness, all of our conversations have been absolutely remarkable. But I think that being present is something that people have a really hard time with this day and age.
It's hard to be present to the moment, because we are all wanting to be someplace else, and smartphones put us in 2 or 3 different places at a time. Think of the electronics that we have working right this moment. We're many places all at one time.
It's exhausting.
But if we're present to the person that we're talking to, and we're really listening, there's a benefit to both of us. My wife and I, we've been married 32 years, and we used to argue about my listening ability. And she'd say, you never listen to me. And my response was, what do you mean I don't listen to you? I teach this stuff. That is not what she wanted to hear. One day, I stopped in the middle of saying that typically and said, okay, you're saying I don't listen to you. I need to do a better job of listening to you. She said, okay. I mean, literally just, okay. I mean, her whole demeanor changed. So I decided to limit my comments when we talk to really, no kidding. Is that a fact? And I'll be darned. And we got along great. And we got along great because I wasn't trying to fix everything. And so when I was out of town and we'd call on the phone, and I have to tell you, it was so mechanical at first, and you have to be careful because you can't say, right. Mix them up. And if you mix them up, it doesn't sound as stoic and as scripted, if you will. But here's what happened. She knew I was trying. And when she knew I was trying, she became more loving to me because I was attempting to be more loving to her. Oh. And when we're in a conversation and we really try to, as you said, those thoughts are going 3-4 steps ahead. If we're able to back away from that and just focus on what that person is saying to us and then repeat what they've said, the value of that is just amazing. And it takes practice. It's not something that you can do. There are 3 things that I tell people to do. You won't find them in a textbook, but there are 3 things you can do if you're really interested in being a better listener. Number 1, see a movie more than once. And what happens is you see things the second to third time that you didn't see the first time. So
True.
see a movie more than once. Number 2, memorize something. Memorize something, a poem, the lyrics to a song. Just memorize something, because that really puts your brain in a different state. Mm-hmm. And the third thing is to read a story to a child.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what do they do? It's late at night. They've got their jammies on. They're in bed. You take would you like me to read you a story? Oh, they get all excited. So you get out the storybook and you open it up and you start reading the story and you glance over and they close their eyes and you skip a couple of pages.
Been there.
The bear. What happened to the bear? Well, we got to go back. We got to look for that bear. We got to find out what happened to that bear, because they're paying attention. Those 3 things. You practice those 3 things for 30 days, and I promise you, you'll be astounded at what you hear that you're not hearing now.
Wow. And I mean, like, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, yes, you can apply this everywhere. It's not just at home or in your relationships with your children. I'm thinking about team, right? Your team is having an experience within your organization, and they would love the opportunity to share with you their observations and their ideas, but are you really listening to them? Or are you stuck in your own agenda as the business owner, right? Or even to your clients or your past clients or colleagues. I think that one of the things that really benefited my company the most this year was right when COVID hit. I paused for a second and I just really stayed hyper present. And I was thinking, like, what are people talking about? What are they feeling? What are they thinking right now? It wasn't about, the state of the world and me. And no, I was thinking, what am I picking up on from the marketplace right now? And using that information to then give back to them. I brought in speakers. We did a whole live stream series. That's actually when the Elevate series began, was out of listening to the marketplace. And what they needed most was people to just hold the space and to be there and to recognize what had happened and to just share tips of, this is what I'm trying. I don't really know nobody knows what to do, but we're just holding the space and we're here together. And creating a container for that in the online world was unbelievable. It was meaningful as well. Tony, I do have another question for you. I know we're running low on time, but Dan, I literally can't in good conscience just have you sit there listening. I know you said you were an observer, but I don't know if you want to unmute and just share something that you've observed about emersed or Tony, anything that you feel compelled to add to the conversation to give people your perspective on his magic, because I've seen it, but I don't know if you want to say anything.
Well, sure. I've been working with Tony for about 7-8 years, and I have never gotten tired of watching him teach.
I bet.
I mean, even though there may be a few things here and there that seem familiar, it's always something new, because he listens to what people are dealing with, and he applies his wisdom to what they're going through. So it's not like a cookie cutter type of thing. He really cares about the people he's working with. And one of the reasons that I enjoy working with him is because I learn a lot, and I've turned it around, and I've applied it to my clients as well.
That touches me, because I feel the same way. And all of us are, relationships is what we're supposed to be about. I mean, literally, Aristotle said long, long ago that we need to be independent. And that's fine. He's a very smart man, and he said a lot of things right. But when he said we need to be independent, I think he erred, because we do need relationships. We need to build relationships. And when we do that, the benefit to all of us is that the law of 250 kicks in. And the law of 250 says, if I do something positive, it will impact 250 people for sure. That's the law of 250. And the converse is true. You do something that's not so positive and it's destructive, and it impacts 250 people. And right now, one of the things that people are concerned about is something I got in my hand here. Their money. They've got their $10 bills, we'll say. So money in our pocket doesn't mean as much to us as it does when we spend it, and what we do is invest it, so that what we can do with that $10
you are so cool. Sorry.
And when we're able to do that, then we'll have more of these to spend. And that's really what we want to be able to do. And I'm going to say this: people who invest in themselves, instead of leaving that money in their pocket, they invest in it wisely. And I'm not saying with me, I'm just simply saying pay attention to how you invest your money with regard to where I'm going to put my resources and get the best benefit from that resource that you possibly can. How much time do we have left? I'm just curious.
Just a few minutes.
A few minutes. Okay, though I don't want to miss doing this because Dan and I talked about this. And I said, Dan, I'd like to show something to Amber that will help us make a point that I think might really be something you'll enjoy. So let's see if I can just pull this off here. Now,
those of you viewing, do you see why I absolutely had to have Tony on the show? Not only is he a wealth of wisdom, but he does magic tricks and he's super fun. He's funny. He's cool. Like he's the total package. Amazing.
Okay, so you see these 3 cards here, and I'm not going to take them out of the shot.
Okay.
So I'm just going to turn them over, and you're going to see that we have here. We have 3 cards.
Yep.
Right. We have a 7 of hearts, an 8 of spades, and a 4 of diamonds. And the ace of spades is, it's the number 1 card. It's the big card in a deck. The ace is. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I want you to do is keep your eye on that middle card, because that was where we had the ace of spades. And what I'm going to say to you, it wasn't this card. And we've got these 2 left, and it certainly wasn't this one. So this has to be what? This has to be.
This has to be it. Oh.
No guts, no glory. That's what we have to be able to understand. And you are the best person on the planet to help us understand. Look, if you don't take those risks, you won't have what comes with them. So I just had to be able to do that because it was so much fun to put it together. And that was Dan's idea.
Okay, to my social media team, we have to splice that out and blast that all over the universe. That was amazing. Oh my gosh, Tony.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun to put it together.
Every single conversation I have with you is better than the last, which blows my mind because each one is so good and impactful. I can see why you're such an effective coach, and why people just gravitate to you.
You're an inspirational lady, and that's why that happens. You see, we feed off of each other's energy, and we do that just as Dan and I do. We get together and we can talk and talk and talk and talk. And the enthusiasm he brings into my life, I can't even describe to you, because the nuance, the subtlety of what he helps me do makes it fun, makes it absolutely fun. And leaders, people in the role that we're in, constantly need to learn. And if they continue to learn, the benefit to them is that they can share that, and that practice makes it even better for themselves. You can never give yourself away. All you can do is help someone else get where they want to go, and you'll get what you need. You
really do. Oh my gosh, Tony and Dan, thank you. Thank you for making this moment happen for sure. And Tony, just thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom. I know for sure this is not even close to the last time you and I are going to be talking. I want to do whatever I can to push your goals, your dreams forward, because you're just a once in a lifetime human. I mean, just knowing you is great. So thank you for being on the show. We're out of time, unfortunately. We are going to circulate this all over the internet. And I hope that everybody listening today, I wish you would reach out to Tony and let him know what impression that he left on you, what impact he made, a decision, something that you're going to do differently from this moment forward. We're not being vocal enough when people impact us. So let that be an invitation to you to start sharing more with the people that are making a difference in your life. All right. Oh, Tony, did you want to say one last thing?
One last thing.
Yeah.
Everything you need is inside you, and it just is screaming to get out. And the way it gets out is by sharing your true, authentic self with others. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone.